Welcome to a super special edition of Good Time Writing. Hi, I'm romance author Lori Thorne, and I'm going to call this one The End Now What? That's right, I'm super excited to announce that I have written those words, The End, on my latest manuscript, HOA of Horror. The first draft is done. Now, if you reach the end of a first draft, you get to celebrate. Okay, that is a momentous occasion, and I definitely feel that within myself. However, writing the end surely does not mean it's the end of your journey. It's like just the beginning, to be kind of tropesy with it. But it's true. And so I would like to share my personal next steps. Some of these have been evolved over time. Some of these are just for this because of the personal situation that I am in. But hopefully it will be helpful. Maybe it will be interesting. I think at least that one. However, I finished the first draft yesterday, and I allow myself one piece of editing before I let it rest. So let's talk about that. The one piece of editing I allow myself is because it is very manual, and it improves my first editing read through so much that it's worth it. And I don't think it's affected by the rest. And that is to look for overused words or problematic words. So I keep a document, I've shared it before, I think, of words that I tend to overuse, that I know to look for because I know how I write. Or words that take away something for the reader, like a lot of sensory words. She saw, she felt. Those can just be described in more engaging ways as a reader. So you want to stay away from them as much as you can. Now, of course, your characters are going to see and feel things, and sometimes using those words is fine. But you can't have them all over the place. So in any case, I will do a search and find for the words that I know that I want to be aware of or lessen in the manuscript, and I will work to replace those words. Like I said, it's not even really a reading through, it's a pretty manual slodge fest, but you got to do it, and it helps the first read through. Now, I mentioned you take a break. This is vitally important, okay? I am definitely one that believes that writing is an art and artists will approach things differently and different things work for different people. I might draw a line in the sand here, where I think it's so important after you spend so much time writing to take a break before you go and look with an editorial eye, because it's like, what's that saying? You see the forest through the trees. You are in the forest, sir or madam. You have just spent months of your life writing and engaging with this story. You are not going to see it the same if you just go straight into editing. I have made this mistake before. This is a learning from experience sort of thing. So I always take at least a month. This is the very hardest thing to do because I am so excited and ready to dive in and edit, but I know that it's going to be better and a better service to me and my readers if I do it. So then it's time to take at least a month off, preferably 2 if I can power through, right? And you're doing things during that time. So when I start my break, I will still be probably working on the blurb, because as I've shared before, I would like to go into querying with this particular book and try to get it trad published. So I need to have a stellar blurb and inquiry letter to send to potential literary agents. So I might start working on that just to get it in order. I have decided to do something that I've talked about doing for quite some time and just haven't. When do you have the time? And that is, most of my books are open door. And, I love those, and a lot of people love those. There's a big appetite for that. However, a lot of people don't like them too. So to broaden my reader base, I would like to remove my open door scenes do very slight editing just around those places where I'm yanking them out to smooth it out, and then republish a closed door edition. Now, if you're not familiar with those terms, because I do get asked this a lot, open door shows you the explicit scenes. You're there, you see what's happening. Closed door is like a closed door. You don't see the explicit scenes. It's also described as sweet and clean, though I take great dislike and displeasure in those terms. So closed door, open door. There you go. But I've decided to try first with Petals and Punches. All of my books, though they are open door, are 99% story. And they just have a couple of scenes. And I think that Petals and Punches is a great candidate to start with. So I'm going to edit that book and issue a closed door version of it and see how that goes. And if I'm right and that helps me reach a broader reader base and people like that, then I will do it with the rest. But we're going to start with one. I will also be reading what I have already written in Dirty Hands, because if you remember, I was writing occult accounts and Dirty Hands simultaneously for the longest, and I set those aside to do HOA of Horror because I felt so strongly about it. Well, now it's time to pick those back up. Dirty Hands makes sense. I am going to do them one at a time. And Dirty Hands just makes sense because it's very near to done. If I'm remembering right, I'm about 70% there for that book. So I can wrap that. And that one, I'm interested in indie publishing. I want to keep indie publishing even while I'm querying and investigating trad publishing. So that would be a great candidate to go ahead and wrap up. And then my time will be up. I will start the editing process. We'll talk more in depth about this later as it's happening, I'm sure, but I know I will do editing myself first. And once I'm as pleased with it as I can be, then I'll be looking for beta readers. I have amazing beta readers, and I always try to add to the pile every time also, but I have a great team that I rely on now. So hopefully they are available and will do some beta reading for me and give me great feedback that I can implement and edit more. And then it's time to start querying. So that is what the next little while will look like. Yay. All right, I will see you next week. And until then,